Welcome back, everybody, to the Bucks Planet podcast. And I tell you, it's raining outside. You might be able to hear it through the microphone. I'm not sure yet. You'll maybe have to listen to it. We got tornado warnings coming in. We have a tropical storm coming in named, I think, Nestor. It starts with an N. It's something weird. And I tell you what, man, we're all in our houses. Nobody's doing anything. It's raining hard. We got tornado warning. I'm trying to watch a TV show. I'm trying to watch the Breaking Bad movie El Camino, and my TV interrupts and says, "Warning, tornado warning." And it's just give me a break. So you know what that means? Time for podcast. And good grief. Good grief. We are an international embarrassment is what we are. I mean, you know those people and those people, the native Londons, I don't know what you call them, the British people, they're in London, they're like, oh, you know, the NFL, they have football games here now. Let's check it out. Let's see this American sport. Everyone in America loves it. Let's go to a game. Oh, who's playing? Bucks versus Panthers. Oh, I don't know a thing about either of those teams, so I'm just going to go. And the Bucks are listed as the home team, so I'm going to cheer for them. That's probably what a lot of London people thought. And they probably just sat there and they're like, what the heck am I watching? Do these Americans like this? This is what they do? I mean, this is absolute garbage. That's the message the Bucks sent about football to London. That's the message we sent, is that we are an embarrassment to the league. And now everyone in the world knows it. Now people from another continent know it. I mean, oh my gosh. I mean, that was a debacle is what that was. That was the London International debacle. I don't even know what to say. Of course I do, though, because I took notes. I just watched the highlights again of the whole game, unfortunately. I mean, I almost stopped after the first quarter. I said, okay, I've had enough. But I got to make content. And kind of like the last, I'm probably going to do this because I'm trying to make a podcast once a week now. So what I'm going to try to do is, if we lose, I'm going to make kind of like I did last time where, I list what I think was the reasons why we lost in order. Last week it was 3 reasons. This week we were so bad I couldn't compile it into just 3 reasons. We have 5 reasons this week. And I'm going to go over all 5 of them. And then, so that's going to be I don't really imagine us winning many more games this year, so I don't really know what my podcast is going to be when we win. Is there 3 reasons why we won? I don't know. I don't plan on winning that many more games this year after what I witnessed. But, okay, so here are the 5 biggest reasons why we lost the football game, in my opinion. At number 5, and this is in order of, I think, least important to most important, but all 5 of these are important, though. All 5 of them contributed to a fat loss. Number 5, Ronald Jones needs to be getting the football more. He is by far the best running back on our team. And I'm not going to lie, I didn't really believe in the dude after last year. But, I mean, have you been watching the games? Every time he gets the ball, it's like he's juking out all these people. And not is he only juking out people, he's starting to run over some people. I mean, I watched him. I saw it a couple weeks ago. He just decked a guy. I was like, oh, okay, Rojo. I thought you were a little feather. I thought you were like a Charles Sims V2. But no, this guy's ready to play football. And he by far is the best vision. He jukes. He's fat. And he's fast. We haven't had speed in a long time at the running back position. And I don't understand why he only got 4 carries in the whole game. And you're going to say, oh, because they were down by so much. Do you know why we're down by so much? Because we never got the running game established. And let me tell you this. They ask Bruce Arians, ask him all the time, and Byron Leftwich, why isn't Ronald Jones just opening up the game? Why is he not the starting running back? Oh, yeah, and then they say, oh, well, we like the way we're splitting it between Peyton Barber and Ronald Jones. Well, guess what? I don't like the way you're splitting it, buddy. Ronald Jones is a high second-round draft pick. He needs to be the featured running back, okay? I'm not going to be, because people are like, oh, well, so you want me to start Rojo but then still split it 50? No splitting 50-50. I'm going to say as clear as day. Ronald Jones II needs to be the featured running back for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with at least 20 carries per game if you want to win. That's a fact. That's not really an opinion. That's straight up a fact. He's the best running back we have. I don't know why he's not getting played. I mean, the touchdown he had against Carolina, that was nice. You're like, oh, it was only on the stat sheet, it'll show up as a 4-yard touchdown run. But let me tell you, he probably shifted about 3 times in different directions and scored practically untouched because he juked everyone out of their shoes. And I was sitting there and I was like, wow, I haven't seen that. And Doug Martin had that one good year. That was almost 4 years ago now. I mean, it was like, I saw that and I was like, okay, there's no way the coaching staff still puts in Peyton, because Peyton Barber's fine. He's fine. He's just not the starting running back. I mean, let's be honest here. He's a solid number 2. And I've been saying this, and everybody else has been saying this for a long time. But the problem is we used to not have a choice. It's like, well, everyone on our team sucks, so we have to play him as a number 1. But now we finally have a guy who's going to, look, I know Ronald Jones is young. I know whatever. I'd say you hand him the keys to the car to this thing. You're never going to, I say at least one game, you give him 20-plus carries at least. At least. Have him be the feature running back for a couple games. See how he does. What do we have to lose, Bruce? Byron? Bruce Arians, Byron Leftwich. If you're listening to this, what do we have to lose? You might as well just put in Ronald Jones as the feature running back. I don't get it. And he's by far the best running back on the team. I don't understand. That's a key to losing. 4th reason why we lost. Now, some of these points are, again, going to be overlapping every week because the same bad issues are going to happen every week. And here we have it again. 4th reason. Vernon Hargreaves and the rest of the Tampa Bay secondary. It's atrocious. And I said specifically Hargreaves and the secondary because I want to defer between the two. Hargreaves and then the secondary. It's 1 point, but I divided it kind of into like a part A, part B. Because I don't want to lump Hargreaves into the secondary because he is on another level of horrible performance. And I'll say this. The film and the game plan is out against us. And it was really obvious when I was watching the game. I forgot about it. And then it reminded me when I watched the highlights again. It was really, really obvious what the game plan is. When it's 3rd and short, 3rd and long, we throw it to whoever Hargreaves is covering. And it's bad. And it's hilarious because it's noticeable. I mean, it's like whoever Hargreaves is covering, that immediately becomes the hot route. I mean, I watch some of these plays, you're like, okay, well, this guy should be probably getting the ball, he's wide open, but they're not even looking at that side of the field. I mean, Kyle Allen snaps the ball on some of these plays and immediately looks at Hargreaves or wherever Hargreaves is covering and just stares him down. One time a guy ran a hitch route, probably about 20 yards, it's a 20-yard hitch. That's a long time to be staring down one guy. They teach you not to do that. But he didn't care because he goes, Hargreaves ain't going to do anything. What's Hargreaves going to do? Cover him? No. Next joke. So he stared him down, and I was like, this is insane because there was other people open on that play. But he didn't look at them because the play call was throw the hitch that Hargreaves is covering. I guarantee you that's what it was. And then there was a slant route once. And I noticed the whole game, they didn't run a single slant on any other corner other than Hargreaves. That tells you something. If I was Hargreaves, I would be flat out embarrassed. Because they know the defenses are targeting him. I've never seen a specific player be targeted that badly before. And it's that obvious. Like sometimes it's like every now and then they're like, okay, throw it to this guy. But sometimes, they made it so obvious they were just staring at him. The whole play. They didn't even care. That's how much they don't even respect him. They're like, we're actually going to stare at you so you know the ball. I mean, it's no different than the quarterback going up to Hargraves and saying, "We're throwing the ball at you this play." Okay? And then they do it. That's basically what staring down the guy is for a 20-yard hitch. That's telling Hargraves the whole time, "Hey, we're throwing the ball at you, and we don't care if you know because you're not good enough to do anything about it." That's what the game plan was, and it worked. Let me tell you, it worked. I mean, on that hitch route, golly, Hargraves is about 10 yards. I mean, for you guys that don't know what a hitch route is, it's when the wide receiver sprints forward as if he's going to run a deep, like just, run deep kind of route. But then what he does is after about 10, he's usually about, 10 steps, 5 steps-ish, sometimes in short situations. This case, it was long. It was like a 20-step. It was like a 20-yard one, but normally it's about 5 to 10 yards. And the receiver is sprinting full force, acting like he's going deep, and then all of a sudden he plants his right foot or whatever it is and turns around. And then the ball should be right there. That's how you execute a hitch. So wide receiver acting like he's sprinting deep, and then all of a sudden it stops with one foot, turns around, ball right there. That's what it was. That's what a hitch is. That's what a hitch route is. And Hargraves is so bad that for not only does he line up 10 yards off the ball every play because he doesn't, I mean, he's so bad that he has to line up that deep or he's getting beat. He can't play press. He can't. That's just not in his skill set. And he's playing 10 yards off the ball. The guy's running a 20-yard hitch, okay? So Hargraves is sprinting with him as he thinks that the wide receiver is going to go deep. When the wide receiver cuts back to turn around, okay, a hitch route is very hard to cover for corners, especially if you suck like Hargraves. It's going to be even harder. But normally what happens is they turn around and the cornerback maybe takes an extra step because they didn't anticipate they were turning around, and then they catch the ball and the cornerback's right there to make the tackle. So it's really like you get the cornerback one step behind you because they're sprinting, and then all of a sudden you stop, and then the cornerback's be like, "Oh crap," and then they're going to stop. So they're really one step behind you. In the NFL, that's what it should be. The guy's one step behind you. But if you're Hargraves and you're just flat out embarrassing, they run a hitch route, and Hargraves trips. I'm not even going to get to that part yet. So they run a hitch route, and Hargraves runs probably an extra 5 yards, trips, falls over, guy catches the ball, probably runs an extra 10 yards because of that. 10 yards on a 20-yard hitch. That is so unacceptable from any defensive back standpoint. He runs a 20-yard hitch. So not only is Hargraves just bad and his technique's horrible, and that's what caused him, because his hips weren't even square. They were just rotating everywhere because he was just lost, as usual. So that's immediately that puts Hargraves at a disadvantage. But then he gets completely exposed for it. The guy does a hitch, and then he runs an extra 5 yards because he can't adjust himself quick enough. And by the time he does, he's so his technique is so awkward and incorrect that it caused him to fall over on the turf and look like an idiot. And for the guy to be wide open and getting extra yards after the catch. That's what it caused. And yet, he's still going to start because we don't have a choice. That's what happens when you don't have a choice. You have to play your bad players. So he is a whole nother ball game. I mean, really, he is. But let me tell you about the secondary, okay? Because I know a lot of people, this kind of got overlooked in the game, in my opinion, the secondary. Because they're like, oh, Jameis picked first play of the game, held him to a field goal. When Dodo fumbled the punt return, they held him to a field goal. That's good defense. It's actually not. And, I mean, that is. But let me tell you, we can make some plays every now and then. Our secondary is bad. Okay, it's bad. Like, it's really, really bad. And I'll tell you why it's bad, actually. Because we punt the ball to the Panthers. By the way, Panthers are on their backup quarterback, backup. And we know Cam Newton's horrible, so maybe he's, worse than the backup, but still, it's still a backup quarterback. I know, well, he's 4-0. I mean, he must not be that, but he's still the backup. Okay, we need to be beating backup quarterbacks because we lost to the Saints last week to their backup quarterback. I mean, that's what we do. We make them look like Hall of Famers. Something you should know. You already knew that we were going to make Kyle Allen, the Panthers' backup quarterback, look like a future Hall of Fame quarterback before we played the game. You knew that we were going to do that before we played. Because when we play, we were going to do that. And before the game, you should already be saying, we're going to make him look like a Hall of Famer. Okay, I'm trying to make you guys think how you should be thinking before football games. So if the Bucs are playing an unknown rookie quarterback or a backup quarterback, you should be thinking to yourself, that player will look like a Hall of Famer against this atrocious defense. That's what you should be thinking. Now, anyway, so we punt the ball, and somehow our idiotic punter, and whatever, the punter's not that good, but we'll give him maybe a break. I don't know, who cares? So we punt the ball, we pin him at the 1-yard line. It was like, finally, we pinned a team inside the 10. We hadn't done it this year yet, really. I don't think we've done it this year. We've had really crappy punts. But we finally did it. And we let them go 99 yards for a touchdown. 99 yards. In the NFL, you cannot do that. Nonetheless, to a backup quarterback, we let that go. And I mean, it was just wide open pass after wide open pass after wide open pass. And then to cap it all off, it was, Christian McCaffrey's wide open for about, 5-yard pass, but then, we can't tackle him. So he runs all the way up there, and then Devin White ends up getting stiff-armed out of the stadium, and Christian McCaffrey scores, all basically untouched almost. Yeah, I watched it. I watched it again. Devin White gets a fat stiff arm to the face, and he practically got lifted out of the universe. I mean, he probably got stiff-armed all the way back to Tampa, honestly. I mean, I watched it. I was like, wow, that's going to become a poster one day, and his kids, and we're going to have to live with that. That's tough. So then we do other stupid stuff. There was a play specifically where Carlton Davis let up a touchdown, and we just have bad. I don't know what is wrong with us. We have bad technique. I'm starting to notice these things now. Like Hargrave specifically, he does this thing called bail technique every play. And that's just when you immediately, right when the ball's snapped, it's because normally you play every time. I'll say this: every time Hargraves plays press, he does bail technique, because bail technique is when you act like you're going to play press, push the guy at the line of scrimmage, the wide receiver, but then when the ball's snapped, you actually end up just sprinting backwards, hips to the quarterback, eyeing him while feeling the receiver. That's what a bail technique is, okay? That's what Hargraves does. And the problem is he sucks at it. Because when his hips are not, first of all, his hips aren't even lined up. I mean, he goes in a bail technique, and he's just staring at the receiver, and his hips are all over the place. So then when the receiver makes a cut, he's 10 yards behind the play every time. It's easy to say this guy's bad. Like, why can't he cover people? It's all in the technique. If you can watch his not his highlights, but watch his Bucs versus anyone highlights, and then look for number 28 Hargraves and see how he's getting beat. He doesn't do it every time, but just keep watching, and you'll see him. He just looks discombobulated when he's covering people, and I don't understand how that's not corrected by the coaching staff. It's supposed to be an all-star coaching staff. Don't know why it's not corrected. Maybe he's just that bad. I don't know. The problem is Davis does the same thing, but in a different way. Davis just doesn't have an awareness on the field is the problem. Davis doesn't have an awareness. They say he's a cover corner. They say he's the best cover corner we have. But I'll tell you one thing. He let up this touchdown to Curtis Samuel. That should have been a pick. I was so irritated. When I watched the highlights, I was like, that should have been an interception. Any decent corner would have picked that off because the ball's thrown behind Curtis Samuel. But Davis is just staring at Curtis Samuel the whole time. and the ball's thrown. Curtis Samuel cuts back to catch it because it's underthrown. And by the time Davis understands what's happening, plays over. He caught the ball. I mean, he was still tight coverage. He was kind of in the play. I mean, he was in the play. He almost caused an incompletion. But if he actually turned his head and looked at the ball before it was thrown, before Curtis Samuel cut back, that would have been a pick. But yet he didn't even look for the ball. That's bad technique again. And to cap all of this off too, we don't even know how to run basic zone coverages. And they were saying that on the thing. They're like, if we call it, even Todd Bowles and Bruce Arians said, they say, we have to dumb this thing down basically to a max because we don't know how to run anything. Of course, they didn't say that word for word. That's basically what they said. They said we need to make simpler defensive coverages for our players because we can't run anything. I mean, if there's any type of zones where we have to switch coverages and people got to pick up other people, it's over. We ain't doing it. We ain't smart enough. I mean, that I don't know if you guys know about this, but there's this test that the NFL prospects take before they enter the draft when they go to the combine. So the combine is like it's basically like a tryout, okay? They're doing a bunch of drills in front of a bunch of NFL teams, and the NFL teams are seeing, if they like the player or not, basically. Seeing them in person for the first time. And at the combine, there's this thing there that kind of gets overlooked, and it's called the Wonderlic test. And it's basically an IQ test for football players. And no, it doesn't. I used to think, it just asks you coverages, what's cover 2 mean? Or it doesn't ask that. It's literally an IQ test. It asks them, math, reading, writing, grammar, science, ask them all of it. And so it's basically an IQ test. Max you can get 50 because there's 50 questions. And I don't know if that is a contributing factor. I mean, I seriously want to look up all of our defensive backs and linebackers Wonderlic scores because it has to be low. Do we have the biggest idiots on the field in the whole league? Is that us? I wouldn't be surprised, but at the same time, it's maybe this because normally the Wonderlic test, no one cares about it. It's kind of whatever. Who cares about the Wonderlic test? But maybe it's a contributing factor. Maybe we should be looking at it, at least for the Bucks defensive back's sake, because we don't know how to do anything. I mean, Todd Bowles is almost lost, and I really don't blame him because his team is so bad. It's hard to coach when you're so bad. I do have an issue with his blitzes, and we'll get into that later. We blitz too much, and it never gets home. That's a problem. But moving off the secondary, we are going into our third issue of the game. So, our third issue of the game is special teams. Specifically, our punting. And more specifically, our punt returner named Bobo Wilson, who I call Dodo Wilson. Because this man, I used to like him, I have to admit. He went to Florida State. He was a little slot receiver. He's undersized. We picked him up a few years ago as an undrafted free agent. He was kind of like the comeback kid. He's this undersized guy. He was good at Florida State. It's nice to have an undrafted guy. But, I mean, this guy can't kick return for his life. I don't know what you want me to say. He was averaging on kick returns. Now, this isn't all his fault. A lot of it is our blocking on special teams, which sucks too, but we'll get into that in a minute. He is averaging 2.8 yards per punt return. I mean, are you serious? God, that's ridiculous, man. Another thing that doesn't make sense, this is kind of a side note, but I just want to say this. Our kick returner named TJ Logan. Why is he on the team? I mean, we're paying this guy just to what? Let kicks go over his head on the end zone? Let him kneel the ball in the end zone so we get the ball to the 25? Has he even brought it out once? Has he even had to kick return once? Maybe. I don't think so. Maybe once. I just don't understand why he's even on the team, but whatever. So, now, Bobo Dodo Wilson. So we're in the fourth quarter. It's important. It's important. We just got a defensive stop. We kind of have some momentum going in our way because we just scored. And we're down by I think 2 scores at this time. Yeah, 2 scores. And our defense finally got a stop. And he muffs the kick. He muffs the punt. Panthers recover. They get the ball inside the 20. You cannot do that. I mean, seriously. You can't do it. That's how you lose games. And, by the way, we cut him 3 days later. He's off the team. So goodbye, Dodo Wilson. I wanted to like you, Dodo. I really did. But, there's nothing to like. I can't do anything. I want to like you, man, but I just don't because you're not good. And I feel bad because sometimes I'm like, these are actual people that I just get on here and bash, but you don't understand what it's like to be me, to be a fan. Maybe some of you do, but some of you guys that just like to listen to me again. We love you. I love when you guys listen. That maybe don't watch football. If you guys like me, I love you guys. You guys are the best. But we deserve a better class of football players. I'm not gonna put up with this 5'10" Dodo Wilson who can't kick return for his life just because he went to the college I want to go to, and he's kind of like the undrafted odds against him kind of story, the underdog I guess. But we deserve better. I deserve better. This sounds selfish, but I literally deserve better. I deserve better than the product being produced on the field. I put the amount of money and time that I just put into the Bucks every week, on every year. We deserve better. And specifically, I deserve better. But honestly, we all deserve better. We deserve a better football team than this. Moving on to point number 2. I haven't mentioned the offense yet. It's coming, I tell you, and it's going to start right now. Number 2, the offensive line. And I said this, I called this last week. I called this. It was it our biggest issue? I think I put that as the biggest issue. Was that the biggest key, of the number one key to losing in the last one? I can't remember. But I know it was on there. And I said, we have Kappa injured, and we have DeMar Dotson injured, and they suck. So we know that their backups are going to step in and do 10 times worse, and it's going to be atrocious. And I said Jameis is going to have night terrors thinking about what he's going to have to endure the night before the game. And what happened? That's exactly what happened. And it's sad, actually. We watched backup right tackle Josh Wells. He might be the worst player I have ever seen. We were sitting there, I was watching the game with my friends. We would just sometimes stare at him and say, he gets beat every single play. Every play he's beat. And Jameis has to step up. And then players like Gerald McCoy or Dontari Poe get the sack, but it's really because Josh Wells got beat, forcing Jameis to step up in the pocket. And then the interior defensive tackles are the ones who are going to get the sack. And I don't even want to hear a word about Gerald McCoy. He goes on there, and he goes on his little press conference a few weeks ago. He goes, I wish this game was being played in Tampa so all the fans could boo me. Yeah, I hate you, Gerald McCoy. I cannot stand you. And a lot of people say, oh, you have to respect him for what he did. I don't respect him. No, sir. After what he disrespected our organization. Gerald McCoy, after being an all-pro for 7 years, and then he was washed up. Okay, he's a washed-up old player who's not good anymore. So we cut him. And what does he do? Goes on there and says, I am one of the best players to ever play for the organization. And I can tell you what, that pissed me right off. And it didn't just piss me off. You know, it also pissed off Hall of Fame defensive tackle, by the way, the same position as Gerald McCoy. Hall of Fame defensive tackle Warren Sapp, who played for us, probably the best interior defensive tackle of all time. And what happened? What did Warren Sapp said he's not even close. And he goes in and McCoy goes on there and bashes our organization on Undisputed. And I was tired of McCoy. And he's been fired. And now he signs with our division rival. He just wanted to play us. And I can tell you what, he had a game, man. He had 2 sacks, couple tackles for loss. And it's not because he's good. It's because we suck. Because you look at his stats. I'm not going to pull them up because I don't really have time to pull them up. I'm already like basically 30 minutes into this thing, and you guys are probably whatever. But they're not good. But you play us because our whole right side of the offensive line's out. He doesn't have to do anything. The right tackle is so bad, Jameis is going to step up, basically stepping into McCoy because he doesn't have a choice. I mean, Josh Wells, he's so bad, and he's going to have to play again. And I'd say that Tennessee, because, we have a bye week this week. Thank goodness. That Tennessee offense, that Tennessee defensive line with Jarrell Casey, ooh. Uh-oh. We're in trouble. Tennessee's got a good defensive line. I mean, the Saints ate us up. The Panthers ate us up. We're in trouble. Not this Sunday, but next Sunday. I'm worried, man. And your football team, you can say what you want about Jameis. You can say what you want about whatever. No quarterback will be good on our team until we improve the offensive line. We've only drafted 1 offensive lineman in 3 years. Unacceptable. You win football games in the trenches. So that means your offensive and defensive line. We've picked 1 defensive lineman, and we've picked 1 offensive lineman in 3 years. And guess when that was? Oh, that was in the 6th round. And that was Kappa, who's injured. So this basically, them getting injured has at least done one thing. It's at least exposed the lack of depth at the position to further expose Jason Light. I'm going to probably make a whole nother video like I did about why we need to run Jason Light out of town. We need to run him out of town. I don't have time to talk about it. I cannot believe this is taking this long, but look, when there's a lot of bad, there's a lot to talk about. So y'all need to be listening and paying attention now. So the offensive line was atrocious. I mean, they caused one of the interceptions when this interception was not Jameis's fault. He's trying to throw a hitch route to Evans, I think. And as he's throwing the ball, since Wells gets beat, obviously, the defensive lineman hits Jameis's arm as he's throwing the ball, so it causes the ball, obviously, to be inaccurate because his arm was hit. So it's an interception. Unacceptable. Unacceptable by the offensive line. And no quarterback. See, because this is a problem you guys have. You guys just want to immediately get rid of James. You guys want to immediately draft a rookie quarterback. And it's all just going to get better. We're just going to go to bed one night, wake up, Jameis has been traded, we have some other guy, and it's all going to be better. We're going to play Ryan Griffin, and it's all just going to be better. It's not. It's not all going to be better. This team will not improve until we start drafting offensive linemen. That's when it'll get better. When you start actually drafting positions of need. Look, we might need a new quarterback. We just might. But I can tell you, nothing's really going to get better until you start drafting the linemen. You have to protect. I mean, Jameis is going to retire when we draft a new guy. He's going to retire. He's going to be the next Andrew Luck. He's going to have to retire early because he's getting beat up all the time. It's tough. It's hard. You cannot win football games if you have a good offensive line. That's just a fact. You for sure can't make the playoffs without a good offensive line. It never happens. That's why the Seahawks couldn't make it for the past couple years because their offensive line was so bad. You guys remember that? Oh, they were in the Super Bowl. Yeah, their offensive line tanked. Their whole team tanked. That's how it worked. Now, we're going to get into the number one issue. I know you guys have been waiting for it. I'm bringing it to you like normal. The number one issue that we had, it's not really a surprise. The Jameis Winston turnovers. That is the biggest issue that we had during the football game. And I went back and watched, and I know you guys are just going to be annoying about this, but I have an issue with really 3 of the turnovers. The other 3, I do not really think were his fault. I'm going to go through each one. First one. This one is kind of 50-50. Him and Evans weren't on the same page. I've watched multiple videos on this. I've watched ESPN. I've listened on the radio. And most people are saying that Evans did not run the route correctly. That's what most people are saying on this. This is not me. If you go and look this up, this is what people are saying. Jameis Winston picked the first play of the game. Okay? Yeah, quite a statement for London. I know. But he did. And he threw it right in between the defenders. And Evans is running again, a hitch route, but he doesn't come back towards the ball. He just turns around. And Evans has to use some awareness there. Kuechly is about a foot to his left. Bradbury's a foot to his right. He needs to step up in between them because Kuechly is closer to the quarterback than Bradbury is. So Jameis is going to have to throw it. If he wants to throw it away from Kuechly, he's going to have to throw it a little bit outside. Problem is, Evans just stands there, and then it's an interception. So you could say that's a Jameis. You could say it's Evans. I'm kind of really open for debate on that. I don't really have an opinion one way or the other. You could just say it was an inaccurate pass or a bad read. I don't know. It wasn't a very good play call. But that is what it is. The second interception, no one thinks is Jameis's fault. His arm was hit because Josh Wells can't block, like I said earlier. So the ball was inaccurate, caused an interception. That is what it is. The fumble. This is a problem. He fumbles twice on the same play. So not on the same play, but on the 2 plays in a row. So we do a screen pass, and this one was a little weird because we do a screen pass, but because, again, no one can block, and we executed this horribly. We did a wide receiver screen, so that's when the quarterback snaps it, turns to his, in this case, it was the right side. It was supposed to be a goblin, I think. Snaps the ball, looks right, and there's probably 3 defensive linemen in Jameis's face, which means he can't throw the ball because he's going to get one of them are going to tip it. So he kind of pump fakes, and then he fumbles the ball. And it's bad. That's bad. But it was kind of one of those where it's like, that play just sucked. Like, I don't know. But then we luckily recover it, but we're pushed back a little bit, probably about 5 yards. It's basically equivalent to a sack. So this is where we have the issue. Jameis, then, it's the next play, and Jameis kind of, runs around after the offensive line couldn't block. And then it was like, dude, throw the ball away. He had time. There was no one open. Throw it away, but he didn't. He held on to it too long, and he fumbled. It's something we've seen before. And it was like, here's the same old Jameis 5 years in, and it was frustrating to watch. It was annoying. It killed our drive. We needed the touchdown. It killed it. That was it. And then, that was halftime, and then we go all the way back. And this one pissed me off too. I mean, he throws the ball right to Luke Kuechly. This is his 3rd interception. Throws it right to Luke Kuechly. I mean, it's so. It was like, what are you looking at? I mean, it was almost a pick 6. I was just like, dude, what are you looking at, man? That's ridiculous. And then you're starting to think, yep, it's the same old thing. Hot and cold, Jameis Winston, the roller coaster. A lot of fans want to get off the roller coaster. They're tired of it. They just want a nice, steady roller. They want a nice, it's. You guys ever been to Disney World? Jameis is like Space Mountain. And then we kind of want something more like the People Mover. Or like It's a Small World. That's what we want. But problem is we're on Space Mountain and we want to get off the ride. A lot of people want to get off the ride. And then, but I understand, and I'll probably make a video on that. I don't really have time to today. I just want to talk about the Panthers debacle. And the last two interceptions he had, the last two interceptions he had, you basically didn't just throw away. I mean, you're probably like, what do you mean you just throw it away? Look at the film. Go back and watch. He threw one of those they were both with under 2 minutes and 31 seconds in the game. And the fourth interception he threw, it was 4th and 12, 2 minutes and 31 seconds left in the game. He just throws it up, basically, to Goblin. It was in double coverage as an interception. I mean, do you really care that you're getting destroyed? We're getting destroyed. And he just threw a jump ball on 4th and 13 because it doesn't matter. Because if because if we don't get it, then they're going to hit the ball where we were anyway. So you might as well just throw it up 50-50. And that's what he did. That's fine. And then the last interception he threw, there was 13 seconds left in the game, and he just threw a one-on-one ball to Mike Evans, and Mike Evans doesn't even turn around. I mean, it was like, what are you doing? Even Michael Irvin, the Hall of Fame wide receiver, who was one of the analysts that NFL Network had on there, he goes, why did Mike Evans not turn around? Like, he's 5 yards into the end zone. He has about another 2 steps before he goes out of bounds, and he hasn't even turned around yet. And that was an interception. So you basically can kind of throw those two away. But I have an issue with the first interception, kinda. I have big issue with the fumble, big issue with the Kuechly interception. But, yeah, that's going to wrap it up here. An international embarrassment of a football team. I don't think I've ever in my entire life been more happy for a bye week. I normally get sad. Thank goodness I don't have to watch this team again, man. We need this bye week. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week.